everyone, this is Sarah, the Catholic Homemaker. Today I'm doing a book review on A Year Without Made in China by Sarah Bongiorni. And before we get into that, welcome everyone to my channel, and everyone who is new, please consider subscribing to my channel so we can continue to grow this community. And I would love it if you hit the thumbs up button to like this video and share this video, comment below on your experience with trying to avoid Chinese made products, or just anything else that's on your mind about this book, if you've read it. And also, if you would hit the notification bell for all notifications so you know when I post, which is every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so I actually read this book pretty quickly because it was a pretty easy read and compelling as well, because I've been aware about Chinese made products for a while, just flooding our market. But then in the past few years, I've also been more aware that more Chinese imported food is coming into our country, and that might be something that we might want to avoid for health reasons especially. And I just did a video on that very recently, so I'll be sure to link that for you guys so you can know how to avoid food coming from China if that's what you want to avoid. And it's very relevant to this video as well. So I heard somebody recommended this video to this book to me, and I definitely wanted to read it. And then I thought, like, oh, this would be perfect for me to have a video on my YouTube channel as well. So this book was written in like 2006 or 2007. She did the experiment with her family as a New Year's resolution for the year of 2005. So that was 16 years ago, really. And she did it originally as an experiment to see if it was possible for her and her family to go an entire year without purchasing anything made from China. And at that time, I guess, products coming from China, they were just becoming more prevalent. I do kind of remember that at that time, like people starting to become aware of like everything is made in China that we buy, and just people start questioning if they should be avoiding that or not. So she didn't do it for any other reason at first other than to see if she and her family could do it. And so she is married, she has a husband, and at the time she had 2 young children. I think they were like 4 and 1 at the time. And I guess she was especially concerned because of her young children for like all the toys, because it seemed almost impossible to buy toys that weren't made in China. And the hardest things that she said were to avoid were electronics, lamps, holiday decorations, among other things. There were other things she mentioned, but those were notable to me, especially for electronics, because I'm not sure even in this year if you can avoid it at all. If you wanted to buy a cell phone or a computer, if they would be made anywhere other than China. Comment below if you know the answer to that, because I didn't look into that. But at that time, I want to say the advantage that we have more in 2021 is that I think we have more options in this year than we did in 2005. I think 2005 things were really taking over. I'm not saying that things haven't gotten worse, but I think we have more options to buy like made in the USA or made in other countries than we did in 2005. Because at that time in 2005, there were a lot of American factories that had been shut down. I'm not sure if some new ones have opened since then. I want to say that they have, because it seems like I have seen more products made in the USA or made in other countries. And I've been more aware of it just recently because I've been trying to avoid things made in China, and especially food coming from China. And you'll see why in that if you watch the other video that I made. If you're looking to avoid food coming from China, I would say one of the harder things to be aware of or avoid would be spices, because they don't always have the country of origin label. I'm noticing even on organic spices. So if you're looking to avoid that, I know there's this one site that I just recently purchased from. It's Food to Live, and I purchased 2 pounds of organic garlic powder because we go through a lot, and I split that order with my mother, so it'll last us a while. And I was even thinking about making my own garlic powder because I'm like, where can I find it? Or maybe it's going to be too expensive for me. But buying in bulk is actually pretty economical, and there's like a discount on that site for people who are new to the site as well. So that was a pretty good price for what you got. And it was made in the USA, or grown in the USA, the garlic. So I was very happy about that. Back to the story, Sarah and her family, they did make a few slip-ups throughout the year, but I would say it was probably a handful or less, and it was usually with something they were completely unaware of. One example, I think it was like February of that year, she had been purchasing mandarin oranges, canned mandarin oranges, and her husband points out to her, "Where do you think these came from?" And she's like, "Oh, of course. They're grown in China." So completely innocent mistake on her end. Her husband was always like constantly complaining or having a bad attitude towards this whole experiment. But the funny thing is, at the very end of the year, he actually wants them to continue on with it. So at the end of the year, they're not going to continue to the same strict standards that they had for the entire year of completely avoiding China or things made in China. But her husband notices a great benefit. What happened to them is that they have become more conscious or thoughtful consumers. Whereas before, they would just buy things without even thinking about it. They would think, "Oh, I need to go to the store and buy a lamp. I'm just going to grab this one that I like." The times I think they especially became more thoughtful consumers were around the holidays and Christmas time and birthdays. Whereas before, they would have just thought like, "Oh, I need to fill presents under the tree for my kids." And this Christmas, they had their budget in mind, which is definitely a thing if you're trying to avoid things made in China. It can definitely hurt your budget if you're not careful with it, because she bought like some German-made toys and it really racked up her spending very quickly. And that certainly would be hard to do on a budget. And like personally speaking, for our family, we don't have a big budget to work with, and I don't think she necessarily did either. But I will say that I think even like the average American consumer can possibly do this, because I have been doing this at least for the past several weeks and with our budget in mind, and even for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I say, I've been avoiding Walmart even though the video I just did was me buying things from Walmart, avoiding purchases coming from China. After, it wasn't just after reading her book, but for other reasons, I was thinking, I'm going to see if I can try to get away with not shopping at Walmart with our limited budget as well. And so it's still a work in progress. I haven't gone to Walmart in a couple of weeks, and that was like a normal shopping trip for me, like for basic things that we would need every week. And I'm just really trying not to just avoid Walmart and Amazon, but also things made in China. So that's definitely difficult on a budget, but you have to be very thoughtful about it and search out other alternatives like I did with the spices for Food to Live. So along those same lines, minimalism, I think, comes into play, because she does mention it just one time in the book that, oh, maybe I can get away with being a minimalist because I'm always complaining about how many things we have in our house. And she was thinking about the problems that they were running into. Like, I think her vacuum cleaner needed to be fixed in some way. It wasn't working. And then like a couple other things in their house weren't working. She's like, well, maybe I can be a minimalist and just not replace these things. I can live without these things. Like, they had a problem with their TV and their coffee maker. They were just like boiling water to make coffee. I will say I'm not a coffee drinker anymore, so I don't have a problem with that. And we just have a French press in our house. I don't know, that may have been made in China. We bought it years ago, so I'm not really sure. It may say on the product, but I'm not really sure where those typically are made. But I will say it was an overall good book, an enjoyable read, and the ultimate conclusion they came to is that they became more thoughtful consumers. And so going forward, they would consider buying things from China, not being so strict, but they were just going to go forward with being very thoughtful about their purchases. So let me know in the comments below what you think of this book review and if you consider reading it. Also, let me know what your tips are for avoiding things from China on a budget, and if you're also trying to avoid Walmart and Amazon, I would love to hear those tips. And I hope you have found this to be helpful. I hope you have a wonderful week, and may God bless you and your family.